And earlier, Trudy sat down with the New South Wales Deputy Premier, John Barilaro, who has been surveying the fire damage in the Snowy Mountains from the sky.
Deputy Premier, thanks so much for your time. You've just been up in a helicopter looking over the Snowy Mountains. What's it like there?
Oh, look, clearly the fire front hit hard on the weekend. We've lost a lot of country. So some of the areas are quite intense, and Cabramatta, of course, we've lost some homes and accommodation, which is, of course, an area that's designed for the staff of the Snowy Hydro. But, you know, as fierce as the weekend was, in real terms, it could have been worse. So it's now rebuilding time, but a lot of the infrastructure is in place. We'll be able to get up and running. Snowy 2.0 will get going, and it is a bit of a speed bump, but, you know, it's better than what we thought.
So overall in the state, there's a saying around 500 homes lost, most of them on the south coast. What's that estimate in this area? Yeah,
look, I had a briefing this morning with down at Incident Control. Look, we believe we've only lost 8 or 9 homes at this stage, but like I said, up at Cabramatta, it's in excess of 30. But again, very unique, different arrangement. So for what we saw come over the top, I think that's a really good outcome. It's really, you know, credit to the RFS and the volunteers.
You know this area very well, and flying over a place like this, what is the feeling to see so much of the ground burnt like this?
I think, you know, we've been dealing with a drought down here. You know, we've seen part of this country that normally is nice and green, even through a tough period like drought, really dry. There's lack of water. The landscape has changed so much over the last couple of years. Now that you've seen the fires go through, you know, people love this country. The Monaro are renowned for its beautiful rolling hills, its natural grasses, and then, of course, Kosciuszko in the background. It's a beautiful part of the world. But so, you know, for anyone that's going to, over the next days, weeks, months ahead, as they travel through the region, I'll see the devastation, the impact on the park. We're all going to feel it. There's no question we're all going to feel it, and because there's a lot of ownership. But you know, we're resilient. We'll move on.
In terms of feeling on the ground, in the town of Eden, where I just was, a lot of the men I spoke to are pretty angry, it must be said, at the Premier over what they perceive to be funding cuts to the RFS. Is that correct? And also, do you need to deal with that perception on the ground?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to deal with it. You know, you don't have to believe the politicians. You know, don't believe me. Don't even believe the Premier. When the Commissioner himself, Shane Fitzsimmons, comes out and says, no, his budget is at record level of funding, that we have met all their needs, including, you know, we bought one of the largest air tankers in the country. We own it outright. We've leased the rest. You know, the reality on the ground is that, you know, if there's more money required in the future, we'll actually meet that need. But, you know, we've lost the battle, I think, in one way on the RFS budget debate. It's clear through the numbers there's been no cuts, but we'll have to deal with that. But right now, you know, what we're more interested in is dealing with the fierce fires that we'll be facing later this week. Let's just get through that, and we'll get onto the politics later.
In terms of defence help here, we saw HMAS Adelaide down the coast helping in Eden. What help are you expecting in this area in the Snowy Mountains?
Look, we're up again at Cabramatta today. We've had some defence personnel up there doing some initial assessments. They're going to be important, especially for a lot of the cleaning up. We've got a lot of work, a lot of debris. A lot of the site needs some work. So they've got the logistics. They've got people that can run dozers. You know, we even talking to some of the brigades, we've got mechanics that are doing it tough, who have been working 30, 40 days. And we know Defence have got mechanics. So I think there'll be some tangible outcomes by those defence personnel on the ground here.
In terms of Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, he copped a bit of heat when he went to Cobargo. Do you think he's been missing in action in terms of his leadership early on in this bushfire crisis?
Look, that's been documented, and he's come back, and you know, he's probably recognised maybe he should have not left as he did for the Christmas break. But the reality is, you know, have a look what he's done since he's come back. He's turned up, and it's never been, and even if it's not pleasant, he's turned up. The announcement yesterday, the $2 billion is a down payment. He's saying that's not the end of it. It's a down payment. He's not worried about surpluses. He's actually wants to get communities back on their feet. So, you know, there's going to be criticism of all of us, and it's easy. But at the end of the day, it's what we do post the fires. You know, a lot of these fires, there's nothing we could do to stop them. Now it's about rebuilding, and we've got to turn up for that.
In terms of your message finally, as we head into the weekend, conditions expected to worsen, what's your message to people in a community like this?
Yeah, look, just stay resilient. I know, like the last couple of days, the weather's changed, the cooler front. It's given our volunteers a bit of a reprieve, but it also allows us to do some containment work, especially around Bombala, that border fire warriors for Bombala. So, look, be vigilant. Make sure you're in tune. Listen to the local ABC or get on the RFS app. And if you're not comfortable, if you don't feel safe, just get out. Leave early. Leave before Friday, and let's make sure that we get at the end of all this that we don't lose any lives.
It's a good message. Thanks so much for your time, Deputy Premier.